business-based immigration applications. Marcus has also published many articles for New Zealand's leading business magazines on business-based immigration and is a regular commentator on immigration-based issues on national radio and TV.
Thanks a lot. So we're going from migrant abuse to business immigration. My name is Marcus Beveridge, and I'm the owner of a firm called Queen City Law, and I've been practicing in the immigration sector for about 20 years now. I was also a chairman of NZAMI for a little while between Bill and Bernard, and I currently sit on the New Zealand Law Society Immigration Law Committee. And I fear we've probably acted on more successful long-term business visas than virtually anyone else in the country since its inception in 1999. Bradley just reminded me that there are a couple of Chinese advisors who pump through about 300 LTBVs a year, one of which is based in Shanghai. And it almost seems like a lifetime ago when the LTBV policy started off in 1999. At that time, the Minister of Immigration was the Honourable and Incorrigible Tuariki John Delamere, and the environment was totally different to what it is now. And it would be fair to say that the application of policy back then was more lenient and laissez-faire, and hundreds, if not thousands, of long-term business visas, in fact thousands of long-term business visas between 1999 and 2003 were approved without too much scrutiny. And in those days it was straight into a 3-year self-employed work visa for the principal applicant, and the non-principal applicant would get the same sort of visa, although they could work for another employer if they wanted to, and the children would end up with 3 years of free education up until tertiary level. And there was, I think, some abuse around that, where some ethnic groups were getting long-term business visas and effectively, you know, with 3 kids getting about 3 years worth of free schooling, which, you know, would normally cost about $130,000 for the price for LTBV. So subsequently, there was an introduction of a 9-month interim visa under the long-term business visa policy to stop that sort of abuse, with the philosophy behind it that the business would actually have to be set up, the money would have to come onshore, and all the sweat equity that goes into starting up a business would need to be demonstrated before you'd be eligible for what they call the balance, or the additional 27 months under the long-term business visa policy. In March, the 20th of this year, we've had a bit of an engine rebore, and what sits behind that is a desire to weed out the weeds and cultivate the flowers. The Business Migration Branch is currently processing about 1,500 active long-term business visa cases, and it is expected that some 30% of those will be declined by lunchtime, as they are considered marginal, and now they're considered marginal at best, and the benefit to New Zealand of those businesses is seen to be of dubious distinction. So these changes were brought about as there seemed to be a need to protect migrants and maintain the integrity of INZ and its programs. By raising the bar, successful business people will have a better ability to contribute to New Zealand's economic growth, and this weeding will result in better outcomes when they subsequently convert to residency under the entrepreneur category. I will now take you through industry trends for your reference, which demonstrates the business industries and types of applications. The first graph relates to LTBV approvals by industry type in the last 12 months or so. It's actually a couple of months old, so it's the last 14 months really. As you will observe from this, almost 20% of the business types are retail. We believe that this percentage will decline subsequent to these March changes that we've just had, and Bradley will give you some context about that in a minute. The second graph shows long-term business visas declined by industry type. As you will note, IT and technology services-based business plans have the highest decline rate. These graphs were provided by the Business Migration Branch, and most declines are based on the following sort of combination of reasons. Firstly, low-quality business proposals such as dairies, bed and breakfasts, $2 shops, liquor outlets, and home-based businesses, or buying a small percentage of a business, shareholding in a business as a going concern. Secondly, a lack of significant benefit. Frequently, the Business Migration Branch is seeing applications where it is claimed that paying taxes, capital investment and other marginal benefits meet immigration instructions. That's not going to be the case anymore. Thirdly, the bona fides. Applicants may lack genuine interest in owning and operating a successful business and appear more intent on gaining residence through a marginal small-scale business with limited capital investment. And fourthly, lack of specific market research prior to a long-term business visa being lodged. And Bradley will talk about the practicalities of that in a minute. Fifthly, applicants claiming work experience instead of business experience. And sixth, is insufficient evidence of the transfer of funds, which is getting a bit more like the Investor 1 and Investor 2 category in terms of transferring money through the trading bank system and so on. And then 7 would be no verifiable business experience, and 8 is financial forecasts lack detail of the assumptions behind them. The future, as some of you may be aware, there's been some intermittent reviews recently of the long-term business visa category, and some of us have been canvassed for our input and thoughts on the reviews, but it has really been a bit of a slow boat to China. And the last communique that we got was that there may be some further changes in March next year, and some thought has been given to whether or not a minimum level of investment should be introduced into the instructions. At the moment, as most of you probably know, the current framework is silent about the amount of money that must be invested, and personally, I have mixed views about that change. The main thrust of the change from this March and this year are that there must be a significant benefit to New Zealand's economic development. That now becomes the acid test. The bona fides of the applicant. You now require specific tailor-made business plans, so there'll be no more cookie cutters, they won't work. And there needs to be some additionality in terms of the benefit test. There is also limited flexibility about changing the business plan, and B&B are looking for actual knowledge of the applicant as opposed to his or her advisors or lawyers of New Zealand's business environment, laws and regulations, and employment of Kiwis and New Zealand permanent residents is now critical. So it will be no benefit if you're employing foreigners as such under that test. In essence, therefore, the bar has indeed been raised, and successful outcomes will necessitate better quality applications and submissions, including, of course, the business plans and financial forecasts. I'm not sure how many of you here are as passionate about LTBVs and entrepreneur cases as we are, but if you would like further information, don't hesitate to contact us. We like to share, and we can forward you a lot of information, some of which is on our website, including a publication entitled All You Need to Know About Long-Term Business Visas, which is just being updated, guides and videos on setting up businesses in New Zealand and starting a business in New Zealand. We also have a very good presentation that the Business Migration Branch recently did for those who practice in this area. And you should also get hold of Business Migration Branch newsletters And don't be shy to contact the officials in the Business Migration Branch, as they are invariably very helpful and good to deal with. Brad will now do our main paper, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Brad's going to cover having a specific business plan, the definition of working capital, changes to the benefit to New Zealand test, and some other stuff. And just before Brad starts, I'd just like you all to know also that Brad's recently been selected for the New Zealand kickboxing team, and will be fighting in Brazil next month for New Zealand, and we wish him the very best in his kickboxing tournament. Thank you very much.